Hello guys, welcome back to my GDExtension tutorial series, Showfire. So first, continuing from the last tutorial, we're going to now have an empty folder. Now we're going to create two folders, So let's go right click, new folder. We're going to call one demo, demo, and then the next one, source. These are going to be the project folder where we're going to test the plugin in, the GDExtension plugin, and this is going to be where we program the extension. Next, we need to download the CPP file. I'm going to leave the link in the description so you just grab it. But you come to this website, you scroll down to releases and then grab the stable. Since we're using Godot 4.3, we need to use the 4.3 version of the CPP file, of the CPP repository. So let's go here. Let's scroll all the way to the bottom. Then grab the sources. Could use either one, .z, since I'm on Linux. Then let's download that to the same location. I think I had it in new tutorial, GitHub, and Showfire tutorials, a GDExtension tutorial. Let's save it here, and then we could extract it. Like that, extract, same location, and we could show in files. Alright, now that we have it here, we could rename this to just Godot CPP. So let's go to here and rename it to Godot CPP. Then we could delete this zip file. Next, we need to extract something called a extension API, and it's from the Godot executable. So find where your executable is, the Godot program itself. I have it in Godot 4, and here it is right here. Now right click and open a terminal. Or this on Windows, I think you could press Control and right click to open a terminal in the area. Control or Shift, one of them. Let's go ahead and do that. And then we want to type the name of the extension. So // Godot v4.3 and then dash. I'm pressing tab trying to get this thing to work. Oh, I messed up right there. Now I can press tab to get it filled out automatically. Then we dash, then dump dash extension API dash API. This will run and then stop, and this will create an extension API here. So now you need to copy this back into the other folder that we created. So let's go back, and paste it right here. Next, you need to go into that Godot CPP, then open a terminal again. Now in the terminal, you need to type in scons platform Linux or Windows if you're on Windows. Then you need to tell where that API file is. So 2 dashes. That's to go back one step to the root folder, and then the name of the extension API. And then go ahead and run this command, and it's gonna be a long, maybe a minute or so. It's gonna run through all of this, and then I'll skip to the end. Okay, now that it's complete, what this does is give us access to all the different classes that's in the current version of Godot. So we could check inside this gen folder here, gen source, for example. Let's go here. So here's the gen folder. We have this include path. So this is what we'll use in our generation. So here is all stuff we have. Maybe, the area, for example. I'm just looking for example here. You have an area 3D. Remember HPP, that's a header file. So we only have access to the functions. We can't really change anything other than what's in here. So let's now go into Visual Studio, and here's the same CPP file. I opened up it previously, and now we can go into gen, can include these. So let's first start with programming something. Let's go into the sources here. Okay, so now for this tutorial, we're gonna create a bouncing sprite that bounces all over the screen. So first we're gonna create a header file. So let's create a new file. Let's call it bouncing sprite.hpp. Since we're creating a bouncing sprite, we need to include the actual sprite 2D. So we're gonna do include. You have to find where the Godot CPP is. So we have to just type it out for now. Here it is right here. Godot CPP classes. And you want that sprite 2D. And it should pop up somewhere. There you go, sprite2p.hpp. And now when this comes up, we could just edit the include path. So let's right click on that, edit include path in settings. I want to change this to GPP here. This is the compiler path. So change it to G++. And then here, or GCC, I mean, whichever one. And then here in the include argument, we could type dot slash Godot the CPP and slash, that should be it. Save, and you should be good there. There you go. Now, as well, we need to create a include header guard, I mean. So if n define, let's call this bouncy sprite. Let's put a h there just to see it. Then we define it now. Define. I don't think I included header guards in the previous tutorial, but I'm gonna put this here. And if this will be the end of it. Save. Next, you want to use a namespace Godot. So namespace Godot, open close brackets, and then we're gonna create a class. We're gonna call this class Bouncy Sprite, and we want to inherit the Sprite 2D. So public Sprite 2D. Next, you want to tell Godot that this is a class. So you type GD class. This is a class included with its own nodes. So you type in the name of Bouncy Sprite here again, Bouncy Sprite, and then Sprite 2D. Now we can do all our stuff that we need. So I want to create a Bouncy Sprite, so I need the four corners, the walls. I need the left and the right side, and then the top and bottom. Okay, so now I have a left bound, right bound, top and bottom bound. So next we want to create a function called bind methods. This is a protected function. It should be static underscore bind methods, and public again. Now we create the constructors. So Bouncy Sprite, and then the constructor Bouncy Sprite. So that's the tilde key, Bouncy Sprite again. And then we want to override our process function. So that's the same process function you would normally see in GD script itself. And we're using doubles here, so double delta, and then you tap override here. All right, and that's it for that. Now let's create a Bouncy Sprite CPP class that's gonna include the header file. So let's right click, Bouncy Sprite .cpp. Now we need to include the header file. So Bouncy Sprite header file. Now we need to define all of its parameters. So for example, let's go back here. I need to tell it what these will be, and I need to define this here and also these. So let's first start with the constructors. So go back here and type Bouncy Sprite, then do the double colons, then Bouncy Sprite. And I forgot to mention, we need to do using namespace Godot. This gives us access to the Bouncy Sprite. All right, so here we want to initialize all its variables. So I said left bounds, I'm gonna equal that to 0 for now. If I close and open it, it should fix that issue I'm having here. Then right bounds equals, let's make that 1000. Top bounds would be 0, and bottom bounds, make that something reasonable, 800. Then for the destructor, say Bouncy Sprite, and use the tilde, and Bouncy Sprite. And we're not really doing anything with that. Next, for the bind methods, you could put it at top here if you want. So Bouncy Sprite underscore bind methods. I'm not gonna do anything with this on this video. In the next video we'll use this. So I'll just declare it here for now. The main thing is we need a Bouncy Sprite the process function. So this is where I'm gonna do all the coding. Then double delta. There's a few things I need. So back in the Bouncy Sprite here, we need to also include a variant. So we need to use the vector2 variant because I want to have velocity. So we could say include Godot CPP variant vector2 .hpp. Now right here I could create a vector2 velocity. So velocity. Then in the constructor back in here, I could set the velocity to be 0. Make sure this is void. Now we need speed, maybe. Should have added that before. Go here, so velocity double speed. Let's set that over here as well. Give it something reasonable, like maybe, remember this is in pixels, so let's go with 350 pixels per. All right, now what we need to do is we need to mess with this velocity. So velocity dot x. Let's start out simple. Increment by speed times delta. All right, and that's our class. We're starting really simple. So next we need to register this class. So we need to create a class called register. So we can go back in the sources, new file, register, add a header file. Now let's create a header for this now. Oops. If and define register h, fine, register h, and if. Next we need to include the core database. So Godot cpp /core class database. And we need two functions to initialize and uninitialize. So let's first say using namespace Godot and void initialize. That requires a class called module level. Then we need void again. Then we need uninitialize. Module initialization level, P level. Now let's create a register.cpp file where we're gonna implement these. Could say include register.hpp save. We also need to include the bouncy sprite.hpp. I realize I call it bouncing sprite, but that's fine. But the class itself is bouncy sprite. The GDExtension interface. We need to include Godot cpp core defs and Godot itself. Now using namespace Godot, we could say void initialize and passing that module initialization level, P level. Then we need to void uninitialize module initialization level, P level, save. I need to do a check if the function that we're creating is a part of a scene, which it is because it's gonna be a node. So if not equals to module initialization level scene, you want to return. Otherwise, we're gonna register it. So say GD register class, then we call the name of the bouncy sprite, and then we close. So we only have this one class we're registering for this tutorial. And for uninitialize, you could just copy this here, just paste it back here. Now below all of this, below uninitialize, we need to create a initialization object, and that uses externcy. So let's type extern, and we're using the C class for that. Then we create this. Then we need a GDExtension boolean, and then GDE export. Let's just call this library init and pass in GDExtension interface. Let's find that somewhere. Get process address, then p get proc address. So new line here, and const GDExtension class library pointer p library GDExtension initialization, and that's a pointer to our initialization. I just say Godot GDExtension binding init object, and pass in all these parameters to it. Need to p get address pros. Then next one was p library. Next one was r initialization. All right, now we can use an init object to register all these classes. We say init object dot register initializer, then initialize, then init object again, register terminator uninitialize. Now we need to set the initialization level, and that would be for the scene. So initialize object, init object, minimum library initialization level, module initialization level scene. Then you just want to return that. Return the init object. Dot init. Okay, now all we need to do is use const to compile this program. So Godot already has a construct script here, but we're gonna just grab the environment from it. So first you need to create our own construct script outside of that area. So in our source file, go new construct. Now we need to copy the environment. So we say env equals conscript. We grab that Godot .cpp construct. Next we need to append it with the path for our source file. So we say append environment.append and cpp path is a C++ path for all our files, and open close brackets or colons and src dash. That should be it for that. And next we need to get all the sources from the cpp file. So sources is equal to glob. Glob is to grab all the files at a location, and src the star.cpp. Remember I did a tutorial on this part, so if you don't know what I'm doing, you could look back at that. I think it was the second one. Next, all we need to do now is say library. We're creating a library equals environment, and to create a shared library with that environment. So shared library, and we need to pass it the path. So we need to put it, we don't have to, but we're gonna just try to put it right in the project itself. So demo, and we need to have a bin file. Then we could call it Bouncy Sprite, and let's put the platform that is on. So use these colons, and then we call format and that string. So that format, this is a Python thing, format, then environment. We need to get its suffix, as well as its environment dot shl shared library. Shlib. That would be a SO if it's on Linux, or DLL if it's on Windows. So that's the shlib suffix. Then we pass its suffix, its sources. So source equals sources. Make sure we close that properly. Then we come back to here now. Say default library. Let's make sure I'm not doing something wrong. Here I did something wrong here. So uppercase SC, and I did it here again. All right, that looks safe. Now let's just go ahead and run this. So in the source, let's do it from here. Not in the source, I mean in the, messed up. Put this construct file outside of this. Put it here. Move. So in here, now we could run sconce. Let's see what happens. Oh, I did make a mistake. Shared ed. All right, let's run it again. This might take a little while. All right, now that it's done, we should now have that bin folder in the demo, and then lib bouncy. So now we need to create a file, that GDExtension file that tells Godot that this file exists. So it starts running it. So in this bin folder, let's create a folder called Bouncy Sprite.GDExtension, and this is a config file. So now we need to say configuration entry symbol, and this is that externc file function that we made. So back in our registry cpp, it's this here. So a library init. Let's go back to the extension, paste it in here, library init. Then we set a compatibility level. So compatibility, let's set that to 4.3. So the version of Godot we're on. And then we set it to reloadable and set that to true. This is for when you restart Godot or reload a scene, something like that. Now we need to tell it where the libraries are. So in brackets again, blocky brackets, whatever those are called, libraries. And since I'm on Linux, I'm gonna type linux.debug.x8664. These are all on the website, you could just grab them. Then I just put res //lib. Oop, not lib, sorry. Then, and what did we have the name here? You could just copy this name, rename, copy, and unselect that. Paste that in here, and put the SO, and close. And then for Windows, you would have the same similar thing. You could place this here, then res bin. Let's copy, paste that, but this will be a DLL file in this case, and Windows. You could leave that in. So this is what you'd write on Windows. And now that should just work. So let's go ahead and create a project inside of that demo file. So we're gonna use the demo as the main folder for the project. Let's pop open Godot, Now in here, let's create a new project. Let's call it demo as it is. We're gonna unselect create new folder. Then let's find that folder for it. I think it was in GitHub, Shopify tutorials, extension, demo, and then current folder. And then it says part not empty, but we know that it's just the bin and the file, that's these two files. So you could say create and edit, continue. And here you have the bin file and Bouncy GDExtension. Now we could check and could try to load a file. Say new. Let's look for Bouncy Sprite. And there you are. You have a Bouncy Sprite. So now that we have this created, we could go back in here now and just edit it. Let me first go back here and just throw the Godot icon on there. Alright, put it there. Save. Make this a main scene. Why not? Alright. Now back in here, let's go. Now we can edit our file. So Bouncy Sprite.cpp. In our process function, we need to apply this velocity to our position. So position or get position, I mean. So get position vector 2 was get position. Then we need to increment that position by the velocity. And then we can say set position now to position. Alright, now we could just build this again. So let's make sure we save. And this won't take as long as before. There you go. So it scans knows that it's just the one file that we changed. So it should be fine. And if we go back in here now, there you go. It's gone. That's obviously too fast. So let's go and play with that speed. Where did we set it? Put it at 50. Let's build it again. And let's reload the scene. This is what reloading is. There you go. Still a bit fast, but you get the point. So let's do what I wanted to do here. So we're gonna set both its velocity. I want to set the velocity to be the actual speed in beginning. I made a mistake here. So velocity is going to be equal to speed and not 50. Speed and speed. Remember, we're making it bounce around. And we could do some checks here. So what I'm doing is I'm checking if the position X is greater than right bounce. You want to set the speed to be negative. If it's less than left bounds, we want to set the speed to positive on the X. Then on the Y now, we want to check if the position is less than the top bounds. Remember, Godot is negative up for 2D. So in that case, we want to speed up, switch the speed to positive, go down. And otherwise, if it's at the bottom, we want to set the speed to negative to go up. Then apply the velocity with delta time. Then set back the position to that position. Alright, and now we should be good. Let's go back to Godot and see what's going on. Let's reload the scene. Here you go. And it's a bit slow. There you go. It went a bit far out. So in the next tutorial, we're gonna do exporting properties and signals. I'm gonna do that in one video. And that should be good for most people. Alright guys, thanks for watching and see you in another video. Like and subscribe.